the center is negative 5, 3, right? The x now has the 1/16 underneath. This would have a 1. The x is squared and comes first, which means this is horizontal. So the a squared is 1/16. The a would be 1/4. The b squared is 1, which makes the b 1. Does it say it's foci? It's all of it, right? Yeah. So then c squared equals a squared plus b squared. C squared would equal, this would be 1/16 plus 16/16. 17/16. And then c would equal square root 17 over square root 16, which is 4. So then because it's horizontal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Here's my center. I'd go right and left, but only that 1/16. So I'm moving right and left 1/16. So this gets plus and minus 1/16, which means my vertices are negative 5 minus 1/16, which would be negative 4 and 15/16 and 3. And then negative 5 plus 1/16. So, wait, I went the right way. That would be the other way. Negative 5 minus 1/16 would be negative 5 and 1/16 and 3. So that's 1 this way, 1 this way. And then you go up and down b, which is 1, a little bit easier. That's onto the y because it's up and down. So negative 5, 2, and negative 5, 4. And then the foci, so it's doing this, right? The foci is right and left 17, root 17 over 4. So I'd take my center, which was negative 5. Yeah. Oh, crap. Now you tell me. Yes, 1/4, not 1/16. 3/4. Go away. 1/4. Okay. And then, so on, see, add and subtract square root 17 over 4, and so just from the x. So it would be like that. And then your asymptotes, it's horizontal, right? So it's the b over a. So y would equal k, which is 3, plus and minus. My b is 1 over 1/4, and then x plus 5. 1 divided by 1/4 becomes 4. Change, flip it, move it to the top. So, I mean, obviously the process is what you need to know. You're not going to have one in which you have to bring it to the bottom. You could have one in which it said something equals 16, so I have to divide everything by 16, that kind of stuff you would expect to see. Yeah.
So you think so not going to have anything like that?
Not with a number in the front that you have to move. No.
And can you do it with 50?
Can you read it to me?
9x squared minus 4y squared equals 1.
Okay, so it's the same process. You have to move this to 1/9 and have to move this to 1/4. And then centers at 0, 0. A squared is 1/9. A is 1/3. B squared is 1/4. B is 1/2. C squared would equal 1/9 plus 1/4. So this would be 4/36 and 9/36. 13/36. Oops. And then square root it. So it's square root 13 over 6. And then because it's x squared first, I think I said this already, but it's horizontal. 0, 0. Horizontal is your b over a. So then I would start at 0, 0. I would go right and left the a, which is 1/3. Up and down the b, which is 1/2. So vertices plus and minus 1/3, 0. Co-vertices 0 plus and minus 1/2. And then my foci would fall along the x-axis. So I'm changing the x foci. Plus and minus root 13 over 6. And then y equals, the k is 0, so it's just plus and minus b over a. So 1/2 over 1/3 x. Keep, change, flip. And I get y equals plus and minus 3/2 x for my asymptotes.
Are you going to test it more like graphing or more refining the vertices?
It's actually a pretty good split. Like you're going to have, I think it's about half in which you're having to graph given the equation, and then the other half information, and you have to find the equation.
Wait, like it would give us like something like that, and then we have to.
Like you wouldn't have a fraction where you have to move it to the bottom. No, I mean more like there's like, you know, half your test is maybe not this easy, but this, and then the other half is information about the ellipse, and you have to find the equation, or information about the hyperbola, and you have to find the equation.
Oh, so it wouldn't be like this, like the thing in the box.
Correct.
And yeah. And,
The keep, change, flip part of that, you mean? Yeah, no.
Can you do number 9 too?
Yep, give it to me.
X squared minus y squared equals 9.
Okay, so you have to divide everything by 9, right? This, you might see. So x squared over 9, maybe not that they're both the same because that's unusual, but, right? What do you know about that hyperbola?
I don't know, because like if they're both the same, like.
It just means you have a square instead of a rectangle. Everything else is still the same. Process is still the same, right? So center is still 0, 0. X is first, so it's horizontal. It's a b over a when I get to my equation, right? My a squared and my b squared are both 9. That should be b. C squared would equal a squared plus b squared. So 9 plus 9, c squared is 18. C equals square root 18, which is 3 root 2. And then we go to graph. So I'd start at 0, 0. I'd go both right and left and up and down 3.
Oh yeah, I think that's right.
So if it was a plus in between, this is actually a circle. But because it's a minus, it's still an ellipse. It's just one with like a square in the middle. My foci, so this would be like 4.2 almost. I'd have to go over here and over here. So then the vertices, we had the center already. Yeah, center 0. Vertices are plus and minus 3, 0. Co-vertices, 0 plus and minus 3. Foci, plus and minus 3 root 2, 0. And asymptotes, y equals plus and minus b over a, which is 1, x. So it doesn't happen a lot, but it's not that it can't be done. This, I would say, you're probably not going to get it because you're probably not going to get 2 of the same numbers. But other than that, the rest of the process should be the same. Now, find the equations of the hyperbolas. So you're going to get given information, and then you're going to have to find the equations of them. So here's some information is what you would want to look for. Obviously, it says use the information given to determine if it's vertical or horizontal.
Are you gonna give me a speed for?
Yeah, I might wait and do it both because the one from yesterday is on there too. I mean, one from tomorrow is on there too. So the vertical, obviously I'm going to look and see if it's vertical or horizontal based on the information. I have to find the center. I have to find any combination of A, B, and C. And then I can use C squared equals A squared plus B squared to find the other one. You might be given that the transverse axis is 2A or the conjugate axis that no is 2B. So there's a couple of different pieces of information you're going to get given. It's not like, I don't know, like the parabola, it was 2 of 3, right? Parabola, it was vertex and focus, or vertex and directrix, or directrix and focus. It was one of those combinations. Ellipse, we threw in that you could have foci, vertex, co-vertex. Hyperbola, you've got one more thing because you also have your asymptotes to worry about, right? So remember, for asymptotes, if it's horizontal, it's y equals k plus and minus b over a x minus h. And if it's vertical, it's y equals k plus and minus a over b x minus h. So you might also get given that piece of information. All of it, other ones are similar to what we were given with the ellipse. Obviously, now we've got the asymptotes. All right, so this one says, find the equation of the hyperbola with foci at -3, 0, 3, 0, and vertices at -2, 0, 2, 0. My advice, pull in your grid so you can have a nice accurate picture. and plot what you already know. So foci at -3 and +3. Be careful how you're plotting, right? Because if you accidentally switch that, because I've seen that, like people will go on the y-axis instead of the x-axis, and everything is off from there on out. So what does that already tell you? It's horizontal. Center 0, 0. C is 3. Then I go, well, not, this should be 4, right? Vertices are -2 and +2 here and here. And so that tells you A is what? Good. With me so far? So because horizontal and center at 0, 0, I can already fill out the whole top part of my hyperbola. X squared minus y squared would equal 1. I can go the next step further and say I already know A. So if 2 is A, then the denominator under the x squared is 4, because that'd be 2 squared. All I'm missing is B. And that was hopefully not that painful, to the point that you can at least get to there. Even if you get B wrong, you've got all those other parts right. You figured out? Okay. Last thing I have to find is B. How do I do that? Good. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. So C is 3, A is 2, B is my unknown. 9 equals 4 plus B squared equals 5. I don't need B, I need B squared, so I don't even have to square root that 5. All right, I'm gonna do it again. Bring in my coordinate grid. Should have just put these on the notes, made life easier. Start with the first thing. Vertices at -1, 0 and 1, 0. What can you tell me? Horizontal. Center at 0, 0. Good. A equals 1. Already have x squared over 1 minus y squared equals 1. I don't need the over 1, but if you have it, it's not wrong. Second piece of information. Asymptotes at y equals -4x and +4x.
That's the slope of this, so it's like up 4 to that one, and down 4.
Good. I can either count that like 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, and then down 4 over 1, and I can draw the asymptotes, or, good, 4 or +4, -4, right, because it's plus and minus, equals, and it's horizontal, which means it's B over A. And I know the A. So if 4 equals B over 1, then what's B? 4. So then B squared would be 16. This is not always going to work out to be a nice whole number. Don't freak out. You would just cross multiply. Like I would make 4 over 1, cross multiply and divide, because it won't always be pretty. And again, you don't need the 1 underneath the x squared, but it's not wrong to have it. Do it again. This time, first piece of information is foci at 0, -5, and 0, 5. Tell me what you know. Vertical. Center 0, 0. Good. So because it's vertical, my center's at 0, 0, I know it's already y squared minus x squared equals 1. Second set of information is y equals plus and minus 3/4 x. So if -3/4 equals, or +3/4, is it going to be A over B or B over A? A over B. So that tells me A is 3 and B is 4. This would be 9, and this would be 16. All right, 8 vertices at 0, -2, and 0, 2. Up 2, down 2. Those are my vertices. Tell me what you know. Vertical. Center at 0, 0. A equals 2. Passes through -2, 5. This is going to be an x, and this is going to be a y. So it's vertical, which means it's y squared minus x squared equals 1. Center's at 0, 0. That's why it's no x or no h or k, right? The a is 2, so this is 4. B squared is what I don't know. So I'm going to take the x and replace it with -2, and take the y and replace it with 5. 5 squared over 4 minus -2 squared over b squared would equal 1. 25 over 4 minus 4 over b squared would equal 1. Subtract the 25/4. -4 over b squared would equal, this would be 4/4. -21/4. And then cross multiply. -16 equals -21b squared. Divide both sides by -21. And b squared equals 16 over 21. Ew. Because that goes in the bottom, right? I don't need it to be square rooted because it goes in as b squared, but I can't leave a fraction in the bottom. How do I get rid of a fraction in the bottom? Good. Oh, no, no. Don't move it. Keep, change, flip, but what's the shortcut? You remember? Just move the bottom of the bottom to the top. So y squared over 4 minus 21x squared over 16 equals 1. So when you have a fraction in the bottom of a fraction, you can move the bottom, the denominator of that fraction, to the top. It'd be the same thing as doing keep, change, flip. You just avoid that step. Yeah. After, say that again, after the purple, like this one. Here. I move the 25 over 4 over here. This one. So from here, I cross multiplied. You can multiply on 4 on both sides, and then you'd have to multiply by b squared on both sides. Like, you do it that way either. I mean, 2, but once you get down to one fraction on either side, you can just cross multiply. Questions on that one? All right, we're just going to keep going. What do I do with X-intercepts? Where would they go? On the x-axis, right? It says X-intercepts, so it's not telling you necessarily that those are your vertices or your co-vertices, but we know it crosses through these points, right? This is symmetric, so all I know is my center's at 0, 0 from that one. And if it crosses through, that tells you what else? It's horizontal. So it's horizontal. And my center's at 0, 0. So I've got x squared minus y squared equals 1. If it crosses through those points on that axis, what are those points? The vertices. So it's just a different way of saying the same thing, which means what letter would be 3? A is 3. So this would be over 9. Foci is plus and minus 5. So that's consistent with it being on the x-axis. If you had happened to mess that up, hopefully you would catch it. What does that tell you? C is 5. Good. So then c squared equals a squared minus b squared. 25 equals 9 minus b squared. This is plus. Subtract the 9. 16 equals b squared, so b equals, well, I don't even need it. B would be 4, but all I need is the squared because that's what goes into the equation. Questions on that one?
Are these only with like C equals 0 or is there?
No, we're going to move. Yeah. All right, now, y-intercepts. So I'm going up 9 and down 9. So those intercepts are also called what? The vertices. What do I know? Perfect. Vertical. Center 0, 0. A equals 9. So y squared over 81 minus x squared over what we don't know yet equals 1. Foci is plus and minus 15. I don't have to plot it. It goes off my graph. If you want to, you can. But what does that really tell you?
C squared equals 2.
Good. C is 15, so c squared would be 225. 15 squared would equal 9 squared plus b squared. 225, 81, subtract. 144 is b squared. It would make b 12, but I don't even need it because in the equation it's squared. Still good? I think there's one without center. Am I losing my mind? Yeah. Here, I'm going to switch it. I'm going to move the last one. Because we did one of those, we did one of those, we did one of those. Yep. So move the last slide up. Or just skip to the last one. All right. So vertices are the first thing given. 5, -2, and 1, -2. 5, -2, and 1, -2. What do we know? Good. Center is now not at 0 anymore. That center is at 3, -2. It's halfway between those two vertices. It's horizontal. And A is good. So I now have x minus 3 squared minus y plus 2 squared equals 1 over 4 is the only part I know so far. Second piece of information says y equals -2 plus and minus 3 over 2 x minus 3. So these are my asymptotes. And this should match the y, and the opposite of what follows x should match the x coordinate of my center. So that part's right, and I don't even need it. It kind of just verifies what I already have. What I need is what's on front here. Is that a over b or b over a? It's b over a because it's horizontal. So if b over a equals 3 over 2, and this time I already know the a is 2, b over 2 is 3 over 2. Then what's b? 3. Good. I can cross multiply, but these are the same. So these have to be the same. If these are not the same, then I have to cross multiply. So if for some reason I ended up with like b over 2 equals 8, then I have to, right? Yeah, then I'd have to cross multiply. B would be 16. So you could get some weird numbers. They don't necessarily always match up to where the denominator is going to match up. You would just solve for what's missing, okay? So that b is 3, which means this is 9.
Can you do that last one?
The one I made up?
And the 3 halves part.
Yeah, so this is my, right, this 3 halves is my b over a. So I did b over a equals 3 over 2. And then I already had a, was 2. So b over 2 equals 3 over 2. Because these line up, these have to line up. But let's say they didn't. Let's say this was 4. I would cross multiply, or, you know, you can multiply by 2, but 4b would have to equal 6. So b would equal 6 over 4, which is 3 halves. So you can get like where it's not perfectly in line like that. You just have to cross multiply and solve for what's missing. Right, like that's what I just did, right?
No, but I'm saying that it's just BA equals whatever.
That was the last one that we did. If you're missing both of them, then the top equals the top and the bottom equals the bottom. There's nothing you even have to solve. Yeah. Is there always one? Is that what you mean?
No, I'm saying is that that's all we need. Like we don't other numbers.
Correct. If your center doesn't align with it, then something's wrong. You did something wrong. Because the center should align and then all you're pulling from it is the b over a or the a over b. Yeah. Questions? You want to save the rest for tomorrow? You think you're comfortable and we could take a little bit of a brain break? And I'm not staring at just eyeballs that look like they're glazed over and nobody's hearing me anymore? Yeah? Okay.